to the air in search of the final resting place of the ill-fated spacecraft, end quote, Gumbel intones during the documentary. Asked if he would rely on Don Schmitt to locate the site for an expensive scientific dig, Thomas said, "I sure wouldn't, no." So how did Schmitt and Carey know a UFO crashed at that exact site? Well, they didn't, and neither did UNM. The digging was science, Dolman said. The choosing of the location was not. UNM's research even caught the attention of the governor. In a briefing, Dolman explained how UNM's archaeologist discovered a gouge in the prairie. The exciting part of this was that, wow, we've got a stratigraphic anomaly right there where there should be one, end quote, Dolman says in the Sci-Fi Channel documentary. Yet disturbed Earth doesn't sway Thomas. Quote, "Just finding a furrow at this spot near Corona in no way proves that an alien spaceship crashed there in 1947, end quote, he said. The Sci-Fi Channel paid UNM almost $26,000 and the excavation lasted 2 weeks. Bags of dirt and artifacts were recovered for laboratory analysis. But when it was all over, UNM came up empty-handed, finding no physical evidence of a UFO crash, Dolman said. I think they would have been wise just to say, we're not going to do it, find somebody else to do it. That's not what we do. Pseudoscience for hire, Thomas said. I think the only thing that would convince the UFO community that nothing happened in Roswell would be for aliens to land on the lawn of the White House and come out and say, guys, we had nothing to do with 1947. That wasn't us. Still, Dolman isn't willing to give up on the aliens yet. He said the purported site needs further study. According to the Air Force, the 1947 crash, which has become known as the Roswell incident, involved a balloon carrying scientific instruments. The flight was part of a secret government project to listen for Soviet nuclear tests, the Air Force maintains. So there's another crappy article by someone who obviously has done little to no research into Roswell. I feel bad for the Sci-Fi Channel for shelling out that much money. When I was reading this article in my mind, I was thinking $26,000 could feed a lot of people who were hungry. Yet why take a gamble on a stretch of dirt in an area where you're not even sure that those are the coordinates of a crash site? It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Anyway, it's whatever that is, eh? But it happened, and no physical evidence of a crash at Roswell. Surprise, surprise, right? The thing is you don't need that physical evidence of Roswell. There are way too many witnesses who are credible, who have witnessed something there that is beyond Earth. Jesse Marcel. You know, Stanton Friedman talked to him directly. And Jesse Marcel Jr., and all these people, the coroner, Sheriff Wilcox, and Mac Brazel, all of these people were interviewed thoroughly. They were there, directly there, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that this, in fact, happened. This explanation that the Air Force gave here in this article is one of like 5. It's always a balloon of varying types from year to year, with dummies in it, with no dummies in it. It's a reconnaissance balloon. It's a weather balloon. Get your story straight. Please stop making up excuses for Roswell. Either it was like a Nazi spaceship and you're afraid to admit it, or it was an extraterrestrial vehicle. Anyway, that's the article. I thought I'd share that with you. Kind of interesting. And staying on that same vein, we're going to talk about SETI. And, of course, Stanton Friedman says that SETI stands for Silly Effort to Investigate. Here we go. Worldwide SETI efforts revisit stellar neighbors. And there's a nice little picture of, some radio telescopes there. It says today, I should probably tell you when this is from here as well. This came on Friday, November 5th, 2010. By a guy named Ray Villard. The analysis was by Ray Villard. You can link to this story at openminds.tv. Anyway, today astronomers are kicking off a worldwide marathon to look for messages from any alien civilizations that might inhabit nearby stars. Astronomers are aiming radio and optical telescopes at selected targets in the chance of a hello, how are you message comes our way. The hypothesized radio or laser pulse messages would have to have been transmitted earthward within a radius of 100 light years. Participating countries included Australia, Japan, Korea, Italy, the Netherlands, France, Argentina, and the United States. This survey is being done in commemoration of the first SETI experiment, Project Ozma, which was launched in April 1960 by radio astronomer Frank Drake. He named it after Princess Ozma in the L. Frank Baum series, The Land of Oz. Shinya Narusawa of Nishiharima Astronomical Observatory in Japan launched the commemorative Project Dorothy, named after the Oz heroine memorialized by the actress Judy Garland in the 1939 musical production of Baum's Wizard of Oz. So then there's some analysis here. It goes on. Are aliens eavesdropping on us? Not likely. Shows some diagrams there of our solar system and another system, other solar systems and the distances that that they are relative to each other, and some nice fancy pictures of space. And then it's cool because it goes on to talk about like some sites for potential life, some areas in space like Tau Ceti, HG 69830, 55 Cancri, Eta Arietis. How do you say that? So it's kind of neat. It's worth looking into. There's some nice pictures there. But again, silly effort to investigate. In my opinion, they're barking up the wrong tree. The UFOs are already here. Extraterrestrial contact is already taking place. This is basically just a massive waste of taxpayer money in a way. I understand what they're trying to do here, but it just seems like it's kind of a waste of money, right? Anyway, that's just my opinion. I don't know. To each his own. Seth Shostak, you keep going. I keep hearing you're a nice guy. Yeah. I understand where you guys are coming from, but in my opinion, they're already here. No big news. Anyway, so that's kind of neat. Check out Project Aquarius. If you want to check out that new SETI effort there, just Google New Worldwide SETI Effort, Revisit Stellar Neighbors. You'll find that. Check out, if you want to read, again, that UNM dig there in Roswell, go ahead. I think you're wasting your time. It's pretty ridiculous. But I just wanted to make mention that, this year has been pretty neat for space exploration, for a little sci-tech news segment. There's more water on the moon than anyone ever thought by recent findings. Very interesting stuff. Also, Mars, they've been discovering things on Mars. There's way more water there than they ever thought. They found glaciers, liquid water underneath the rover, ice. Evidence for past water on Mars keeps flowing, this time from glaciers, says universitytoday.com. And also, I just thought this was interesting because I think Alejandro Rojas mentioned this on his radio program one day, that Titan, one of the moons in our solar system there, has like a massive ocean of methane. Like there's so much ocean on this little moon, but it's methane. So I wonder what kind of entities would evolve or develop from a situation like that with methane. I don't know. One can't be too certain. A lot of stuff going on in the world of the paranormal. I didn't want to get too much into, parapsychology or anything like that, or Bigfoot, because this was a good Paul Hellyer interview issue, and I wanted to kind of stick to the UFO stories. SETI, Project Aquarius with Dan Burish coming up. But there is one I want to end with just before we go into the end of our episode here and jump into the Michael Schratt episode next time. It's an article by Michael Schratt in the newest Open Minds. There's a really cool picture of a cigar type UFO. It's quite huge, and it's got a very long row of windows going around the circumference of the whole cigar. And this story comes from Exeter, New Hampshire in 2005, and Michael posted that November 5th 2010. I'll just read the little blurb here, because he put together a collection of UFO sightings that he thought were quite interesting, and I agree. On July 20th, 2005, a resident of Exeter, New Hampshire had a very interesting UFO sighting. Around 3:15, David was outside preparing his lawnmower. After checking the oil, he had just finished a glass of water and then saw a large cigar-shaped object hovering in the sky. The principal eyewitness stated that he saw equally spaced windows along the entire craft, which was described as enormous in size, about the length of 2 Nimitz aircraft carriers. The objects moved very slowly from west to east. The object began changing colors from a bright silver to an orange-red. The strange cloud of red and orange flames began surrounding the object, and before he knew it, the object stretched out like a rubber band. It grew to about twice its original size, and then it was gone. So it sounds like a real Star Trek kind of warp speed kind of thing, right? Or someone opened a wormhole and then the thing just stretched right into it before it disappeared in the blink of an eye. Really cool story by Michael Schratt, and go to Open Minds TV to check that out. We're coming up to the end of our episode. It's been a good one. The moon has more water than we ever thought, as well as Mars. So what is lurking on the moon? On the dark side that we never see? Why are the astronauts never going back to the moon? What does Edgar Mitchell have to say? Because he seems to flip-flop from time to time. What about Buzz Aldrin? Where is he? Why won't he give his word? Something's going on with Buzz Aldrin, too, in the moon. Why don't astronauts want to go back? I've heard a lot of stories of people who say that reason is because someone is already there and doesn't want us there. I don't know. A lot of water on Mars. Who knows what's going on there? There's a lot of H3 talk going on, you know, the helium-3 that we could go in there and harvest. I guess only time will tell. Let's take a quick break here and come back and say our goodbyes here in the unified field, and maybe a little bit more. Stick around.
I'm David Suzuki. You're either on the bus or off the bus. If you're on the bus, 40 vehicles are off the road. One busload of commuters keeps 70,000 liters of gasoline from being burned. That keeps 9 tons of pollution out of the air, and it puts $5,000 into the pocket of every person on the bus. Get on the bus and breathe easier. The future is in your hands.
Don't drive the planet to destruction. Get around smarter at davidsuzuki.org.
The presidential election in Ghana has been narrowly won by the opposition candidate John Atta Mills. Ghana's electoral commission says.
Sick of corporate news? Would rather hear from people in your community and communities across Canada? Tune out the static and tune into Groundwire. 30 minutes of grassroots news produced by independent, on-the-ground journalists and campus community radio stations from coast to coast to coast. Released the first Monday of every month. To listen, contribute, or learn more, visit groundwire.ncra.ca. This is a project of the National Campus and Community Radio Association. Made by you, for you.
You are listening to the Unified Field with your host, Mr. Justin Brown.
She can hold on to her own if it comes to push and shove. She has kept a lookout on over what's left of their love.
Welcome back to the Unified Field Radio. I am Justin Brown, your host